Episode 10. Chris Edwards. Let's go.
Antler Up, Edmonton. The Elks are on the board.
There it is. Antler Up, Edmonton. Touchdown, Elks.
Cornelius will throw to the outside to Shai Ross. At the 10, to the 5. Antler Up, Edmonton. Touchdown, Elks.
Well, the first surprise this week on Antler Up is it's not that Chris Edwards. It's not the football player Chris Edwards.
Sorry.
We have a guy by the name of Chris Edwards who is going to join us. And you're the first, I don't want to call you a non-football guy, but you're the first guy we've had who doesn't have a position with the team. Chris Edwards is a senior producer at TSN. And how many CFL games do you do a year?
Roughly about 35.
35. Excellent.
Yep.
Well, we got lots to talk about. Thanks for coming in, by the way. I know you changed your travel plans just to be on Antler Up.
It's my pleasure. I love coming back home to Edmonton. I love coming to Commonwealth. It's always a pleasure to come here, and it's pretty cool to sit down with you, the voice of the team that I grew up idolizing. So
excellent.
Very happy to be here.
Let's start there. Born and raised in Edmonton?
Yep.
How long did you live here?
So I grew up, born in 72. I was here, grew up with my family in the Glenora area, Glenora, Westminster, Ross Shepherd. I was here through high school, and then went out east 1990-91 to go to university outside of Montreal. And then I was home for a few months in spring of 96, and an opportunity came up to be out east. So I was only supposed to be out in Toronto for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is now 26 years. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's gone well. It was a good 2 weeks then.
It was weird because it started like I was just going to be with my sister out there, and then a family friend, Gord Miller, asked me if I wanted to help out for 2 weeks on the NHL hockey playoffs, the studio show, and where I was Pat Burns' personal assistant, getting him coffee, doing shot charts. After 2 weeks, executive producer there asked if I want to stick around and asked me what I like to do, and I said, well, I just finished playing university football, so I'd love to be involved with that. And I would love to be involved with CFL, and that was something that they were really lacking back then. So it started there, and it's been a great ride.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get to what a producer does in the broadcast, maybe in the second half of the show today. First, we're going to get caught up with you. You're from Edmonton. You played high school football here?
I did at Ross Shepherd, yeah.
At Ross Shepherd?
Yeah, I played on a couple of bad Ross Shepherd football teams, but I was lucky enough to be on a couple of very good basketball teams back in the heyday, the Bob Fallis days, where we won a provincial championship in my grade 12 year. We weren't quite as good on the football side, but then I played. Then I went on to play football at Bishop's University for a few years.
What position?
I was a slot back and a punter kicker.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody off those Bishop's teams that?
Tom Europe. Tom Europe played. Had a good career. I just missed the Leroy Blue years. He left 2 years I think before I did. But yeah, practiced a lot with Tommy, and he had a very good CFL career. Ray Bernard was my, hazer initiator in my rookie year, and he had a good years of linebacker, good few years of linebacker, I know mostly with Ottawa and Saskatchewan. And there's been some guys sprinkled here or there, but Tommy is probably the best one to come out of it.
Did you get any sniffs? Anything past university?
No. I hardly played it. I wasn't. I had a lot of effort, but not a whole lot of talent. More. But I really enjoyed it. I love because I only played a couple years of high school football. I had I grew a real fondness for the game of football at university. Just the whole camaraderie, and I think it's the greatest team sport. So I kind of fell in love with football there.
All right, let's go back to your early days. Were you a Knothole Gang guy?
I was a Knothole Gang. Yeah. My folks. I'm trying to think that I wanted to take a look and see what section I was in, because I know in the Oilers I can give the exact. Our season tickets was section S, 9 rows up, in Gretzky's office for the first and third periods. But here we had season tickets from 75 to 1990, roughly like that. So yeah.
So you.
But I was in the Knothole Gang for a while.
Yeah. You saw the glory years then, the 5.
Yeah, very lucky to. The glory years where I was very lucky to grow up in Edmonton when I did. I really enjoyed that time. I grew up watching Brian Kelly and Warren Moon, and Dan Kepley was a big idol of mine. And then over the years, just the collection of players that went through there, I could I just reel them off. I had so many good memories watching games here.
It's funny, people talking about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers now and two-time Grey Cup champions, and can they win it a third time? Imagine winning it 5 times. Like, no one's going to do that ever again.
No.
I don't think. You can't do that in this day and age.
In any sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite remarkable. It was, and the one I remember the fondest was it 80 where they were down like 20-1 at the half
81,
against
I think it was,
81
against
against
Ottawa?
Ottawa. Yeah, that was because my folks every year. Grey Cup almost always coincided on my birthday is November 27th, and it was almost always on the 27th. But my folks would have a big party at our house. There'd be about 20, 30 people there watching the Grey Cup, and yeah, usually the Eskimos were winning. So yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, they were. So you had a lot of good memories coming to the stadium.
A lot of good memories here. I loved coming to games here. I was thinking about actually on the plane right here. I can look down at my hand where I have a burn from hot chocolate that I got on a November game back in that end zone underneath in the kiosks over there. Me and I also have a very good friend that I grew up with who they still have season tickets to this day. But I have some extremely fond memories of coming to Commonwealth.
Do you remember the last game you watched here as a fan?
Oh boy, I don't. I do remember some special ones. I remember, obviously the heydays. I remember. Anywhere from Sandusky to Gizmo to remember Matt Dunnigan playing his first ones here, and Matty's a good friend. Like, just some really cool moments over the years. And one of them was a non-football. No, one was the I don't know if you remember when Canada played Brazil in the soccer friendly here.
Yep.
And Gord got me down on the field for that one. And when Canada tied at 1-1 and 60,000 people erupted at once. I've never heard anything like that before or since, and it was a phenomenal high that I still kind of get chills from this.
Yeah, I was here too that day.
Yeah.
It was very, very memorable. Absolutely, for sure. So
I'm
you
sorry.
you produced football games.
Yep.
You got a football background, which is, I think, kind of rare for a guy in your position. How much does that help you with your job, knowing a little bit more about the inside workings of the game?
Yeah, I think it's crucial for football. I always like to joke that my job is the two things I did best growing up, which was playing sports and watching TV, and it's become a perfect marriage. But I think some sports you can get away with it. Get away with a lack of firsthand knowledge easier. But football, it's crucial. You have to know. It's such a big field. It's such a positional sport that, and there's so little time in between snaps that you don't have really time to wait and think and watch. You have to know, okay, so if this play went here, I know what camera and what machine I can get the replay from. You have to know situational, third down, short yardage, hurry up offense. Like, it really helps you to have a good grasp of the game. So it's been instrumental in my success for sure.
I think the game on the field this year's making a comeback. It's much more entertaining than it was in 2021.
Absolutely.
Give me your take on the game right now and where it is. I mean, attendance is down almost across the league. I believe ratings are down as well. What's going on in your mind with the game and the fan base, and why you're kind of struggling in that area right now?
Yeah, well, first off, I'll say I agree with you that the product on the field is better. I think like this year as opposed to last year, obviously a full training camp makes a difference. As far as attendance and ratings, it's not something that's just a CFL problem. It's you can go to every league in the world, and they're having trouble putting bums in the seats. One part of that is the battle for the entertainment dollar. People have more options. TV for a lot of sports is very good. Radio is very good. They'd rather stay at home in the comforts of their home. There are concession issues with pricing, which I know they're addressing here in a place like BC, where they're drastically reducing prices to make it easier for people. But I think it's a North American problem. Like, you can go back to the days when the Atlanta Braves were dominant for a while, and all of a sudden their attendance starts sinking. The New England Patriots don't sell it anymore. And this is an extremely large stadium. It's not perfect CFL stadium anymore, so it's tough to fill this one. But it is. I think there's such a competition for that dollar. The Oilers' extended playoff run probably ate into that a bit. You see that a lot with cities that have the NHL team that go on a good long run. They don't really necessarily pack the football stadium, soon after. But and ratings, ratings are. I think our ratings are quite good this year, actually. And they'll be brought down when you have the odd blowout game. when like the BC Edmonton game at the start. So that'll affect it. We had the one in, God, they're all running together, but in, was it Winnipeg? Where we had this, where we had the severe weather delay.
Yep.
Obviously that'll affect it. And also, when people say ratings are down, the rating system was skewed a few years back when they had the other rating system. So I think people still try to compare it to those numbers, and they'll never get like that again. So, but overall, I like what they're doing. What Victor and his group are starting to try to rebuild here, because it's going to be a rebuild.
It's a slow build, right?
It
took a while to
yeah.
to kind of erode that, the attendance and everything. It's going to take a while to build it back up too.
Yeah, and when I think about like the Argos issue, and people keep on saying what can be done, what can be done. The number one thing is that, and it's not just Toronto, but everywhere, is that, and I've been involved with CFL and TSN for 25 years. So I've seen it all. We've trying to come up with solutions. We've offered suggestions. I think the biggest problem is that there's never been that commitment to a long-term build, which is not easy in this day of shareholders and economics, that people want returns. So they're thinking 5 years, whatever. But it's a 20-year plan. You have to be able to commit to a generation, and which the Argos have lost a couple of generations of fans. But you got to commit to a generation where you're hitting families, young families, cheap pricing, get them in the stadium, they'll buy concessions. But more important, you're building a fan base from a very early age, and you got to commit to it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. The product on the field, as we touched on, is so much better this year. Week 6. Last week, I mean, that was such a great week. Started with the Elks' big comeback in Montreal. Every game had a storyline. Every game was close. Every game was just so entertaining, right down to the end of it.
That was phenomenal.
It was one of the best weeks we've seen in a long time, I think.
Yeah, and it's 4 for 4 on entertaining, edge of your seat games that came down to the very end, which shut some of the naysayers up. I don't see the NFL going 16 for 16 on great games. But I don't mean to say that because I'm an NFL fan too. I'm a football fan in general. That's why I get upset when people pick one or the other. But it was a great weekend. Entertaining across the board. We're back to the big plays, right? We're back to big plays, more offense, closer games. And the talent is, the talent's probably never been better.
You touched on the NFL. That's one thing people, for some reason, can't wrap their head around the fact that people can be fans of both leagues. You don't have to pick one or the other, right?
No,
That's been an issue that for some reason we always have to deal with.
Yeah, and I think it's more Eastern driven. But I've never understood it, just because, like I said, I grew up here, so I've always loved CFL. And then I developed a fondness for NFL, but I'll be the first one to say it was largely because of fantasy or gambling purposes. But there's nothing wrong with two different styles. There's, we got world-class athletes playing in this league, and I'll stake my reputation on that. There are as many good games in a season as there are down south. There's, it's a different game, and I love it. That's why I was so worried in the off season about all this chatter about changing it too much, and this game didn't need to be changed. It just, we got to celebrate it more. And really, like I gotta tell you, like I said, there are some excellent players in this league. There always have been, and they're a joy to watch.
Our guest this week on Antler Up is CFL on TSN producer Chris Edwards, an Edmonton guy, fan of the green and gold growing up. We'll talk a little bit more about his job when we come back for the second half of Antler Up. The Edmonton Elks currently on a bye week. Next action for the green and gold will be Saturday, August the 6th in BC against the BC Lions. Hey, the next home game is going to be a special one. You want to get your tickets for that. Saskatchewan Roughriders are here on August the 13th. That is Wall of Honor night, where the green and gold will honor legends Jim Germany, Ed Jones, and Joe Holloman, who will all see their names go up on the Edmonton Elks Wall of Honor here on the brick field at Commonwealth Stadium. That's against Saskatchewan, August the 13th. All your ticket information is available at Ticketmaster or head to goelks.com. Saturday, though, August 6th, in BC for the next game against the BC Lions. You'll be able to see it on TSN and hear it on 630 CHED. The Antler Up podcast is recorded in the Joey Moss Championship Suite. The Joey Moss Suite opened in 2022 to honor Joey, his great legacy, and to remember one of Edmonton's greatest heroes. The Joey Moss Suite is a great place to watch an Elks game from. To learn more about how to purchase the Joey Moss Championship Suite for an upcoming Elks game, email partnerships@goelks.com. What does a producer do on a television sports broadcast?
Yeah, it can be tricky to explain sometimes. I love bringing people in the actual truck so they can watch it and really get an idea, because the viewer at home really doesn't have an idea. I always try to equate, like, when people think of movies, the director is the person calling all the shots. They're the, you think of a Spielberg or whatnot, they are the top, they're deciding everything from talent to how the whole production works. TV is a little bit different, especially sports television. We're largely, and I know I'll get some grief from my good friends who are directors, but I'll say, the producer is largely the captain of the ship, and makes the final decisions on everything. We are my job basically entails everything from communicating with the teams during the week to set up our interviews or Zooms or whatnot, and worry about credentials and in-game interview requests, all of that stuff. On game day, when we usually show up about 6 hours before the game, I lay out the schedule for the day. When we'll do certain aspects of our pre-production, packing elements when we go for a meal break, when we have to do certain elements for the studio show. And then when the game starts, I'm basically in charge of everything from deciding which replays we do, deciding if we go to a replay, deciding if we're going to a graphic, basically how we're going to tell a story. So if we're doing, for example, if we're going to do a story on Taylor Cornelius, we bring Taylor. I'll tell everybody in the commercial break, okay, guys, we're worried about Cornelius this drive. We'll follow along, but this is the elements we have for him. We've got a full page of his career. If we get a chance, we've got some video from last week. We may have a sound bite from him. So basically, I have to navigate how we tell those stories, and with the through communicating with the talent in the booth. We're all hooked up on intercom throughout the whole game. We just try to steer the ship as to how. What direction we're going to go and how we're going to do it.
I've always wanted to. I've never been in a truck doing a broadcast. I've done some TV games. I've done some Oiler games on TV.
Yeah. Well, you and I did the hockey years ago.
Yes, we did
Canada.
Hockey Canada games together. Yeah, and I know when the microphone opens from the truck on the intercom, I can hear hubbub, right? You can hear there's stuff going on in that truck. Tell me a little bit about. Take me inside that truck. The truck we're talking about, by the way, folks, is the one you see that's parked outside Commonwealth in the tailgate area. That's basically your office.
Yep. Yeah, it's production mobile. I like to say it's kind of like an iceberg. It's you hear and see 10% of it. The other 90% is what we call the controlled chaos in the truck, and it can be quite chaotic. I know where I've done events where you have so many voices in your ear. Sometimes you just get a little. Apologies for the analogy, but a little schizophrenic. I probably deal with about 5 or 6 different voices in my ear constantly. It's a frenetic environment. It can be a very high intense environment. I, for some reason, seem to thrive in it. Like, I love it. It's a lot of fun, but it is, and it's a real team effort. You really have to rely on different individuals in different departments coming together as a team to put the best product on the air. But it's a blast. I would love to come. You got to come in a truck sometime and just watch, because I know it's a real eye opener for some people. Yeah. But it's a real rush. I would never. As I said before, I never had the talent to go further with my athletics. So the rush that an athlete must feel playing a game, that's what I feel now. So.
Yeah, you're still in the game. Doesn't matter.
Still
Sometimes
in the game.
It doesn't matter where you are, but you're still in the game.
Yeah,
right?
I thought I might be a coach, but this is I think I found a better path.
How many people are in the truck for a CFL game?
In the truck itself, there's probably about not quite 20, but usually have 4 replay. 6. Yeah, I'd say anywhere between 12 to 18, and then you'll have another dozen camera operators in the stadium. Then you've got a lot of different audio, video assistants and whatnot. So it's usually about a crew for a normal game, like tomorrow's game. There'll be a crew about I'd say all told about 40 to 45, which when we do an event like the juniors can get up to as much as 65. Just because there's so many additional positions. But roughly about 40 to 45 people make each show work.
Yeah, you mentioned the juniors. You're gonna work that here, so you're gonna move to Edmonton for a couple of weeks or
Yeah,
more later on this summer. You've got that. You've done some Olympics. You do some NHL hockey. I think you do some NBA too. Or
I used to do NBA years ago, before I was a full-time producer. I've done hockey quite a bit at every level. I currently do our Leafs on TSN package, which is about 25 games roughly, and then this will be my. I'm losing track with the juniors because of these 3 in a row in Edmonton. I don't know.
How many count, right?
Yeah, I think this will be. Well, we call it. Yeah, this one doesn't count as a 10th one. So I think my 10th one as a producer will be in Halifax, and then I've had the pleasure to do the last. I worked for Olympic Broadcast Services for the last 2 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang and Beijing, where I was the producer for what they call Hockey 2, which was predominantly women's hockey with some men sprinkled in, but. This past year in Beijing, I got the privilege of doing the women's gold medal game, which was definitely a career highlight. So,
Yeah, a lot of interest in that still. That's
that is a lot of fun. And talk about a team effort. Like that is a monumental effort, not by the Olympic Broadcasting Services itself, but just that production truck, because there's so many toys and so many things you want to get in. So it was an honor.
You mentioned you do about 35 CFL games a year. You must. So obviously that's 2 a week, most weeks.
Yes, most weeks. Yeah.
You must have some great travel stories.
Yeah, not sure how many for air, but no. Yeah, no. You know, and the best part of the travel is the relationships I've made. Like honestly, I can say I work with some of my best friends. It's and you build those relationships on the road, and it's actually that's where we get our best. You know, it'll be the night before while watching a game in another city, and we'll be just, shooting the crap back and forth, and we think of something that we maybe hadn't thought of, for the show. So, but yeah, no, many good travel stories. I've had the opportunity to go places, especially with the juniors that I never thought I would. But I also, like with CFL, I get to go all across the country. I get to see my family who live in different parts of the country, and I get to, it would be tough if I didn't like the people that I work with. But like I said, extremely good relationships and friendships that make the road a pleasure.
What about travel problems? You ever had any issues getting to a game? Especially in nowadays, I mean, everything is so tough with connections and
not so bad on
flights.
CFL. I remember when I used to do NHL playoffs. There was one time where we used to do the playoffs where we would hop from. We'd be in St. Louis one day, the next day we'd be in Minnesota, the next day we'd be in Dallas, and we'd be back to St. Louis. Like we would hop every day and do a game that day and then fly the next day. And there was one time where my luggage didn't quite make it. So there I am on game day going to the Mall of America in Minneapolis to get a full suit, like everything right down to the underwear. But for the most part it's been fairly smooth with not too many hiccups.
Yeah. I know you tweeted out earlier this year the game here. You were in Ottawa on Friday and did a game here on Saturday, and we're home Sunday morning.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Like we did I wasn't producing I haven't produced a Grey Cup yet, but I was part of our production team it was Calgary, and we had a wrap party Sunday night, and I took a red eye home and then did the Maple Leaf game Monday, and. Although it was worse for Chris Cuthbert, who had to do the same thing. But yeah, there's many instances where, and all of our people do it, where you're doing, back-to-backs in 2 different cities. And it's, as you know, there can be some challenges in some Canadian cities to get it out of fairly easily at the time you need to get out, right? So.
Do you have a favorite stadium to work out of? And I say that thinking you're just in the truck, not just in the truck. You're in the truck, and I imagine most trucks are pretty similar. Do you have a favorite stadium you like to work out of?
Commonwealth will always hold a special place for me. But I think nowadays, Winnipeg is a phenomenal stadium and environment. I really enjoy doing games there. Regina the same. It's a great spot. It was so good when Montreal moved to Molson Stadium, and hopefully that'll pick back up again to the party that it was. There's a lot of good places. Hamilton. I will say now they're not going to like me for this, but I will say McMahon is the lowest of those. It is. They need a whole. They got to change that up. It's and that's a part of the problem with their attendance there. That they need a renewal there. But I can honestly say I don't. There's not one that I dislike, but I would have to say the most fun these days is probably going to do a game in Winnipeg for the environment.
When did you develop your affinity for chicken wings? there is a Twitter account out there, I believe it's called "Is Eddie Eating Wings?"
Yes, that's two of my very good friends, my director Frank Rubenstein and my stats guy John Perlberg started that, and it started by them capturing photos of me. I didn't know they were doing it, of me eating wings, and it actually got me in trouble with my wife because she says I'm eating too many wings on the road. But yeah, I know that just started the last. Actually, I'd say I've had an extremely good relationship with chicken wings for the last 15 years.
Nice. Okay, here's the next. Where's the best chicken wings in the CFL?
Wow, that's a good question. I got my old Reliable back in I live just north of Toronto now, but a place called St. Louis Bar and Grill. They have a number of those areas, but actually. Pretty good wings are right across. We stay at the West, and pretty good wings are at the Scotland Yard. Sherlock Holmes there. Yeah, quite good. Might have to try those tonight.
Excellent. Attaboy. Good for you. All right, Red Zone now to wrap it up. Last three questions on Antler Up. First CFL game you ever saw?
Oh boy, man, I probably would have been 5 or 6 years old. Yeah, probably 77, 78.
And right here?
Right here. Yeah. No, we were. I was begging my dad to take me, even though I had 3 older sisters, and my mom, who still loves watching games here. She's a diehard Oiler and Edmonton football fan, so I had to beg them to let me go to the game. But I was here regularly growing up from probably about 5 till 15.
Did you get to any games at Clark, or was that?
I played a couple games at Clark. No, never went to a game at Clark. Not that I can recall. No.
Right. Number 2 question, your best football memory?
My best football memory, boy.
And this could, I don't mean on the field, this could be in the truck for you as well.
You know what I have to say, and people ask me about my career, they say, have you ever had a game that you couldn't find a flaw with, like you were 100% happy with? And there's the only one that comes to mind, but I've enjoyed a lot. I've been very fortunate to do a lot of great shows. But the last 2 years that we had the rights to the CISU sports football, we got to do the back-to-back Laval McMaster games, and the one in BC Place, 2010 was not only it was a phenomenal game, but I can honestly say I walked away from that broadcast, and I've watched it back a couple times over the years, and I can still say I wouldn't change a thing. So that's probably my favorite moment, both from a TV perspective, from a fan in that perspective. Boy, there's been some good ones. I remember Ricky Ray throwing the teardrop in the corner to Jason Tucker. That was just a great memory. But it would have to be. I'll give you a tie. It's Giz taken any one of his returns back to the house. And then I was in the stands in the 96 Grey Cup in the snow in Hamilton. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs the referees that Flutie fumbled the ball. So
I think we all can agree that Flutie fumbled the ball.
Even he did. I talked to Doug not too long ago because he was doing some for us. It was last season. And we had him talk with Danny McManus. And Doug's like, yeah, it was a fumble.
I can say it now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Last question. Biggest name in your phone?
Biggest name in my phone? Well, probably Morley Scott now. Biggest name in my phone? I don't really have any.
I didn't mean size-wise. I mean,
man, I can't say I have. Boy, I'll put Danny McManus in there. I got all my guys in there: Dwayne, Matty, Milt, Davis, Chris Cuthbert, Gord Miller, Ray Ferraro.
It's a Hall of Fame right there, man.
That is a Hall of Fame. Glenn Suter. That's. Yeah, those would be probably the biggest ones. I don't have anybody in my phone that, Jennifer Lopez isn't in my phone or anything. Nobody that stops the room, but a lot of big Canadian sports television names.
All right, cool. And a lot of great people there, no doubt about that. Yeah. Chris, thanks for your time, man. I'm glad, again, I know you changed your flight plans to
absolutely my pleasure.
So I appreciate you sitting down with me.
No, anytime. It was my pleasure, Morley. I really appreciate it.
All right. Just before we go, on a side note, I want to wish all the best to Adam Ziccarelli, who's been one of the producers Antler Up. He's done a lot for this show. He's done some editing. He posts the podcast. He's behind the camera. He does so much stuff. We're going to miss him as he's going off to Saskatchewan to work. Wait a second. It's Saskatoon and the Blades, not Regina and the Riders, so we still like him. It's okay. So we wish Adam all the best. When we started, Adam was virtually in a closet with the camera, in a one-camera shoot, and here we are now a couple of months later. So we got 1, 2, 3 cameras going here, and largely, it's hard to make this look good, and Adam's played a part in doing that. This podcast looks great, and we thank you, Adam, and wish you all the best as you head off to Saskatoon, except when you come back to play the Oil Kings, of course. Chris, thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And have a good game tomorrow night.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
All right. He's Chris Edwards. I'm Morley Scott. That's Antler Up. We'll see you next time.
Antler Up Edmonton, touchdown Elks. James Wilder Jr.'s got a pair. Oh, he's got a man wide open. Mike Jones has it inside the 10. He'll walk the dog to the end zone. Antler Up Edmonton, touchdown Elks.